Say, how do you feel about going across the street and telling her that I'm a cop and I'm not a phone man and I've been lying to her and I've been taking pictures and looking at her through telescopes? And
No.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd like that.
Much better.
Thank you.
Alright, let's cut to the chase and listen. I know Stakeout is a bit creepy, but what surprises me is how effectively it builds the romance given the film's plot. It follows two detectives on a stakeout who are waiting for an escaped convict to return home to his ex-girlfriend's place. That's not a bad setup on its own, but it's the fact that Richard Dreyfuss' character Chris ends up falling in love with the convict's ex-girlfriend Maria is where things get a little gross.
To protect and to serve.
Oh, I love my job so much.
That being said, I still think this movie is funny, and for the first two acts, I thought this was going to be building towards a smart and non-formulaic ending. However, I should have known better, but the film did such a great job of developing the romance between Chris and Maria that I was hoping the convict plot was just going to be a red herring. By the end of the movie, it would focus more on the fallout of their relationship, and sure, that means it devolves into a lie reveal plot, a trope that I have much distaste for. Still, once the main villain is finally caught, Chris is forced to reveal who he really is, and I expected the film to head in a much more interesting direction. With about 20 minutes left in the film, I thought the movie was going to tackle the ethical problems of the relationship and have them meet again under natural circumstances. Chris apologizing wouldn't fix things, which is exactly why I wanted the ending to explore these consequences. Granted, I know not everyone would have been down for that, but personally, the romance is the strongest part of this film. Outside of the cartoonish comedy with Chris trying to stay one step ahead of the cops, it's their relationship that keeps me invested. Their personalities complement one another, and it's a testament to the script that their conversations feel so natural and believable. Everything else feels secondary. Emilio Estevez's character Bill and his connection with Chris is fine, but not that memorable. I often forgot that he was even in this movie because they don't spend enough time exploring his character or his family life. Even Stick, the escaped convict played by Aidan Quinn, gets a fair amount of screen time as the film cuts back to him trying to get home, except there isn't anything notable or interesting about his character. Those scenes felt like they were used to remind the audience that he's still out there in order to maintain a sense of tension around Chris and Maria's relationship. The reason I stress this is because the ending falls flat, and up to that point, it was a far better romantic comedy than a thriller. But it just devolves into a classic shootout that isn't especially memorable and is awkwardly paced. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think blending thriller and comedy is a bad idea, but it's the execution that is missing here. The contrast between Stick's serious scenes on the run and the campy antics of Chris are rather jarring. Personally, I lean towards the more subversive version of the story. Let Stick get arrested, then let's get back to the good stuff. I want to see Chris and Maria try to work it out because they have great chemistry, and their relationship is the emotional core of this movie. That's what makes the ending so frustrating. The film spends 2 acts building an engaging romance only to abandon it for a generic climax. However, I actually enjoy it quite a bit. Those first 2 acts are strong and funny.
I'm gonna take your nuts and tie them in a knot and run them through my shredder.
But it is a 6 out of 10. On a rewatch, it didn't hold up as well as I thought it would. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like and subscribe. And as always, watch, connect, and grow.
Eating in between meals?
Eating me,